listening to WNMU Presents, a podcast production of Western New Mexico University. Visit us online at ucom.wnmu.edu. I'm Abe Villarreal.
And I'm Josiah Soblowski. We're with WNMU Office of Communications. Thank you for joining us.
Today we're speaking with Isaac Brundage, Vice President of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management with Western New Mexico University. Hello, Isaac.
Hello.
Isaac, you oversee several areas on campus critical to student success. They include financial aid, registration, admission, student life, residence life. In your view, is the current student affairs and enrollment management model that we use, and one that's used in many colleges and universities, working for today's student?
For us, I think the model that we use is a good model. We actually combine student affairs and enrollment management. At other universities, especially larger universities, those two areas are separate. But because we work together, I think that kind of helps our students and our population. I mean, for example, when you talk about what we do in admissions and how we serve the students through our model in admissions with the student service specialists, it kind of ties into some of the other things that we do on the student life side. So it kind of ties to that whole idea of student success.
So a student service specialist, what is that?
Student service specialist is a recruiter that goes out and actually works with students from recruitment all the way through the enrollment process. It takes away the whole idea of bouncing a student around to different departments. The student service specialists are trained in different areas of enrollment management and student affairs. They're trained to read the modules in Banner related to through registration. They're trained to read the modules in Banner for financial aid. They can help a student register for new student orientation. They can sign a student up for housing. So if a freshman is coming to their student service specialist, and we call them triple S's, and once they get with their triple S, they should be able to help them through every step of the process to become enrolled.
Sounds like a different model than the traditional model used even maybe when you were going to school.
It is a very different model. You have to think, when I went to school, we had everything was probably done more on paper pencil. So you filled out an application, mailed it in, and it went to one office. And then when you got ready to do financial aid, you had to send it to another office. And right now, everything is computers on the computer. We have one student information system for the entire university. So if someone has access to the modules and they have the knowledge base to be able to read and understand them, they should be able to help a student in one office and not have to bounce them around campus.
Now, as far as these triple S's helping students, is this going to be their only point of contact throughout their whole entire college career?
It actually changes. The whole idea of the triple S is to work with them the first 2 years. Students are assigned to triple S based on their major. And once they are assigned to a triple S, that triple S works with them for the first 2 years. The triple S also has a relationship with the academic department. So they're invited to academic department meetings based on the students that they serve or the majors they serve. And so they're building a relationship with those academic areas to make sure it's a smooth transition from those first 2 years into the academic area.
So let's talk about maybe some radical ideas that some colleges are thinking of. You know, colleges are basically a game of numbers. The more students you have, the more money you have, or the more successful you're deemed to be. So in the business world, you get rewarded for innovation. And if you do an exceptional job, you're rewarded and given praise. Is that too radical an idea to implement in a typical student affairs model? Should recruiters or residence life people be rewarded for increasing enrollment or nurturing successful students in housing, or does that not fit with the college experience?
In my idea, I don't think it's the best model. I think because then we get into the idea that it's only the recruiters or the admission staff or the enrollment staff, it's only their responsibility to make sure that we have enrollment in the university or to make sure we retain students or graduate students. It's everybody's responsibility. So to specifically reward one person is not, in my mind, the best idea, because if you think about it, the professor plays a role in the retention of a student or the success of a student. The recruiter plays a role. The custodian plays a role. The maintenance guy plays a role. So everybody plays a role in the success of the student. So, I don't think you can really pinpoint one person to say that they have really made that student successful at the university.
Okay, so let's keep on this money theme because it's all about money sometimes. During this political year, we had a candidate who was running for office, Senator Bernie Sanders, who was talking a lot about free college education, something that maybe millennials thought was the best idea ever. We know that there's free college education, quote unquote free in other countries, but they don't have the model of education, higher education that we have. In other words, we have fitness centers and we give a lot of amenities on college campuses. So is a free college education really something that can be done in American universities?
The question is, and it sounds very good. I mean, think about it. Everybody could get a free education. It sounds like an excellent idea, but where's the money going to come from? So the whole idea is to think about, okay, yes, if we're able to do this, where are we going to get the money? And I think that's where the problem comes. You would have to generate the money from somewhere. Somebody's going to have to come up with resources because, like you said, our model of education is different than some countries. Some of the countries that provide a free education, we provide other resources for students that they may not provide. So how are we going to pay for those resources?
Okay, Isaac, as Abe had stated that a lot of the millennials, in fact, liked the idea of having free college. And I mean, when you think about it, if you don't have to pay for school, I mean, that's something great. And of course, we do offer a bunch of incentives to students through grants, scholarships, and all that. One thing that I did notice in a recent study, cases show that on average, millennials tend to earn less money than their parents, and that's approximately $2,000 less. How important is education now more to millennials as opposed to those who don't want to go or believe it's too expensive?
We know that a person who gets a college education is likely to make a lot more money than a person who does not have a college education in their lifespan. One of the things we have to realize, though, the reason a free education sounds so good, especially to millennials, is because, I mean, think about student loan debt. I mean, there are a lot of people who are up to their nose in student loan debt, and the cost of education is not going down, it's going up. And a lot of that is because states are giving less to higher ed institutions than they were in the past. So institutions are more dependent on tuition and fees to survive. So I mean, you're talking about a budget issue, and you're talking about, okay, how am I going to live as a millennial? And then you're talking about, once I get out, am I able to make money and to be able to, whether if I got student loans to support my lifestyle, to pay off my loans or what have you. Then another issue that we have to think about is the economy. I mean, it are jobs out there for people once they graduate. And, sometimes we have institutions out there, not that our institution is doing that, but there's some institutions out there where students are paying a lot of money to go to school. And they're taking out loans to go to these schools, and they're coming out not making enough money to pay back those loans. So I mean, there are other factors that we have to look at in this situation, but I will always say that a college education will make your life a whole lot better.
So Isaac, you're college educated. What school did you go to?
Higher ed, I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. I transferred from there after 2 years to Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida. After graduating there, I went to Florida Gulf Coast University and got my master's degree, my educational specialist degree, and now I'm in the last phase of my dissertation from Florida Gulf Coast University.
You're working on your dissertation and it focuses on the minority student. And WNMU is a Hispanic serving institution. You yourself are African American. So you have a unique point of view on how you see the minority student with your experience as a college student and working for a HSI, Hispanic Serving Institution. Our university comes with many unique challenges and opportunities because of the student population that we serve. Are American universities properly serving minority students today?
Some do a better job than others. And just to give you a little bit background information on myself before going into, responding to your question, I attended two historically black colleges, or what we call HBCUs. And I've worked at a predominantly white institution, Florida Gulf Coast University. I've worked at a historically black college university, which is Florida A&M University, and now I'm at a Hispanic Serving Institution. And one of the things I appreciate about the HBCU and the HSI is because we understand our population. And so a lot of our services, a lot of our opportunities, a lot of our traditions relate to the population that we serve. And I'm not saying predominantly white institutions don't do that, but a lot of times students feel more comfortable, or the services are more tailored towards them when they're at those specific types of institutions. Now, related to the whole idea of whether or not universities are doing a good job of servicing those populations, what I've been looking at is three different factors that contribute to that. One is the student themselves. What factors or what things, what does the student bring to the table? Like, how prepared were they before they came to college? What was their GPA like? What type of courses did they take before they got to college? What were their test scores like? So those are things that the student bring to this table. So those are individual or student level factors.
And on that point, what are you finding?
I'm finding that a lot of students are not prepared. A lot of students are coming to institutions not prepared from high school. The other one is institutional level factors. What services or what opportunities do we provide at the institutions to help the populations that we're serving be successful? For example, how are we servicing them in financial aid? What type of scholarships do we have available to them? How we handle them when they come through the admissions process? How do we handle them when they're in the classroom? Or how are we advising them? How are they working with their professors or staff or what have you? The last level is external factors. And with minority students, these are big. And these are some factors that really, as an institution, a lot of times you don't have control over. But they're family, what's going on at home.
Social
issues, friends, mentors. Those, a lot of times we don't have control over those factors, but they play a role in the success of students, especially minority students.
But does an HBCU university have better control over social issues? They're in certain areas of the country. They serve a very specific population.
No, I don't think they have a better control than any other institution out there, because you have to think those are external factors that really don't happen at the institution. They happen at home. A student can have problems outside the university. I don't care where they go to school. And so, but one of the things that I'm finding is that there's a comfort level for students at those institutions. They see people that look like them that's being successful. So that helps them. They're around people that's like them, that's successful. And it's not that they can't see that same type of success at other institutions, but it does play a factor in their success.
As far as student affairs goes, what is the student affairs of the future, and is it anything like it is today?
The student affairs of the future, is it anything like it is today? I think what we need to get out of the habit of doing, if you go to student affairs, and I'm going to include enrollment management also, if you go to universities, we've been doing the same thing that we've been doing since the doors opened in some instances. And so what we really have to rethink, what does this generation of students need? What does this generation of students want? They want quick service. They want to be able to use technology. They want to be able to use technology on their phones. They want to be able to use social media. So what we have to do is find ways to incorporate that sort of service into what we do as an institution. And we have a very growing online population in non-traditional students. So you have to think, okay, you have this 18 to 24-year-old that you're working with, but you also have a population of students who may be 25 and older, and you may have a population that's not even on your campus. But you still have to be able to provide the services they need to be successful. So the student affairs and enrollment management model of the future has to take all of those things into consideration.
We've been speaking with Isaac Brundage, Vice President of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management at Western New Mexico University. Thank you for joining us. Listen to this and other podcasts on our website at ucom.wnmu.edu.